Came across this question, and let me read it first. It's titled, I have a jealousy problem. This person writes, so I don't really have anyone to talk to about this, so I figured this is all I got. Takes a big person to even post on something like this, so you should pat yourself on the back for that. A bit of background first. I'm a 15-year-old boy with pretty bad social anxiety and not remarkable in any way. So I recently became friends with this girl that goes to my school, and we're pretty close, but I recently started having feelings for her. My best friend is also close to her. I'll call him A. And there's another person that I'll call B, who is kind of friends with her, but not as close as me and A. It has occurred to me recently that I'm jealous of that, among other things. The thing is that the only way I see myself is just a lesser version of other people. I'm not as kind or supportive as A. I'm not as funny as B, that sort of thing. No matter what I do, they always seem to be one-upping me without realizing it, and it makes me feel like shit. It's not like I even stand a chance with her. She's way out of my league. And I've probably already been friend zoned, but even though I know that I'm still jealous of these two, do any of you have any advice for this? If you need more details, please ask. Thank you. Okay, so there's a few things here. There's a few things here. First of all, I can tell that you really think poorly of yourself. You say you're not remarkable in any way. I feel I can go two ways with that, because everyone can be remarkable. And if you don't feel remarkable, well, I would think that that's a good sign that you need to do some work on yourself. And I'm going to double down on this in a bit. So, jealousy, I have found, and I'm happy to be wrong about this, but in most cases, jealousy is a reflection of what you view as a shortcoming in yourself. And I think you've already pointed out some of those things. You seem to not feel that you're as funny as B, or you're not as kind or supportive as A. Do you want to be those things? Is that important to you? Is it who you are? I'm really trying to pick my words carefully, because I understand being that 15-year-old and feeling like you don't measure up. And when I was growing up, 12 years old up until my senior year of high school, my best friend was an absolute lady killer. He was charismatic, he was funny, he was charming, he was very athletic, um, great person, great person, and but also somebody that women really desired. And I learned a lot from him. I was very thankful to have him up throughout high school. However, it identified things that I wanted to be but couldn't. Now, some things, looking back on it, I probably didn't want to be some of those things, but it should have been a signal to myself that I had things to work on. And I think you need to take this and use it as a springboard. I think right now you're thinking, how do I stop being jealous, or maybe even how do I win this girl over? Um, I mean, you did say that you think she's out of your league. I think you've already kind of given up on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if you have a shred of hope. But I feel as if this right here needs to be the first day where you're going to take a stand and become the person that you want to be. And you need to figure out what that is. What would that look like? And that can be tough when you're 15. But let me tell you something, that most people don't have that figured out in their 20s. I know people approaching 30 that don't know who they are. They haven't even really asked themselves that question. They just come home from their mediocre job and they play video games day after day and they just rot. They don't think about the future, nothing. They don't think about themselves, nothing. So when I suggest this to you, you may be thinking, "Oh, this is way too much for me. I cannot handle this. This is just an insurmountable task. I'm too young. I don't know." I get it. I get it. I get it. I trust me, I get it. But if you start hashing this out now, you'd be surprised the things you'd figure out. And be kind to yourself. Don't expect to figure it all out, but if you get even any sort of insight of yourself, you set yourself up to be that much more successful. I use the term successful not as like a financial thing, but successful in feeling confident and comfortable and happy with who you are. A lot of people will tell somebody, "Oh, just like they look at this question, they'd be like, "Oh, well, you should just accept yourself, be happy with who you are, love yourself." And they're right. However, in loving yourself, it is much easier to love yourself if you know you're striving towards something that really resonates with your values. So, do you want to be a kinder person? Maybe you should think about what that looks like. The way you write this, I would you seem like a person who's kind or supportive. I just feel like a lot of people don't reach out or wouldn't even acknowledge that they have a jealousy problem. But you know yourself better than I do. So if you feel like you should be a more kind, supportive person, figure out what that looks like. And now there's plenty of resources online nowadays where you can figure out how to be a better friend. Maybe that's something you need to look into. The funny thing now, if you want to be a funny person, there's resources for that too. But not everybody's made out to be a funny person, nor do they have to be. And also, everybody has different kinds of funny. Some people have more dry sense of humor. Some people are the more comedian-ishy type, the class clown. You don't have to be any of those things. It's all whatever speaks to you. And I want you to really think about, do you want to be these things because you want to feel like you're enough to get a girl? Or do you want to be these things because in your heart, that's how you see a fully fleshed out version of yourself? That's a very important question. And you're probably going to have to sit on that for a little while. Really, really think about it. The question about the girl, you mentioned that she's way out of your league, that you don't even stand a chance with her. You've already been friend zoned. Well, listen, if someone is worth a long-term relationship, then aren't they worth friendship? I wish somebody told me that when I was your age. And I'm not telling you what the answer is in your situation. I don't know. But this is time for you to think about that. Why do you want to be with this girl? And if you do, why wouldn't she make a good friend? And of course, I understand that you like somebody, they probably don't share your feelings. I'm assuming she's rejected you. Have you even made any sort of advance? I'm not telling you to, but if you've tried before, if she's made it very clear that she's not into you, I mean, my flux is flashing. We're gonna disable it. So, where was I? Oh yes. So the long term relationship. if if she is worth you pursuing that aspect, she is worth it as a friend. And if she's not, I don't know. You need to overview why you were attracted to her to begin with. I mean, some people. I'm not accusing you of this at all, but this is something I want you to keep in mind for the future because I see it a lot with young men. They they feel really physically attracted to a girl or the status of being with her. It'd be really cool to be with this girl in high school, either because she's hot or she's popular or whatever. And people are drawn to that, but not her personality. Think about those things. I'll also tell you something that I learned, and that I never found a girl in high school who had any of my same interests. I started meeting them after high school. I feel as if, and I maybe this was just my experience. I feel as if boys growing up, they they have an exposure to many different activities and interests, whereas girls get pigeonholed through no fault of their own, either to seem either to maintain their girliness or what have you, or be popular. And I understand men do too. They get pushed towards manly things, sports and all that, but sometimes I wonder if there's not as much of a punishment for strain from that manliness, or you can be uh, like I knew kids who played sports but still played Magic the Gathering or played Dungeons and Dragons, and that was acceptable. I don't really know if a girl can do that without being a full blown nerd. You know what I mean? So a little ray of hope, and I understand. Like when you're in high school, you can't even picture the end. It feels so far away, right? I'm I'm prattling a little bit. I feel like there's so much I could talk to a 15-year old about high school struggles, but I just want to pick my words carefully because I mean I'm sure you've talked to adults and you're just like you don't get it. Trust me, I know. I'll because they blanket everything, right? They don't think about the nitty gritty, so to speak. So before I ramble even further, the last thing that I want to touch on is scarcity mentalities. So does any of this, especially your jealousy, revolve around the fact that you just think you're not going to be able to get a girl, or that there's not many girls out there for you? Because if you think that, I'm telling you right now, you are dead wrong. You're dead wrong, and I don't even know you. And maybe, assuming, I don't know this to be true, but let's pretend you are not desirable to women. You can fix that. And yes, physical looks help. However, you have control over your personality, your demeanor, how you carry yourself. And if 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 I know people that can still find single women in their 30s around a time where all these women are getting married and having kids and there's no scarcity of them at all, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. I understand that high school is lonely, and maybe you just want someone to just share it with, even if it's not a long-term thing. I totally feel for you on that. I do. There's stages. to relationships and to life. And just to have someone there, I understand. I really do. I've been there. I've felt that. But my mistake then was feeling like I just wanted one. If I got that one girl, my whole life was complete, and it's not true. So before I talk your ear off about anything high school, or everything else high school, to zone in on this, and I'll just kind of summarize my whole rambling. Your jealousy is a result of your lack of self-confidence. You have problems with yourself, or you take issue. I'm not thinking of the right word. You take issue with yourself. You think you're not enough in certain areas. Figure out what those are and become better. You can, anyone can. It would be the easy thing for me to say to you is to stop comparing yourself to your two friends. But that's easier said than done. I understand. What might be the better piece of advice is don't get caught up in this shit show of here's three guys like orbiting this one girl, and anyone on the outside can tell they're all trying to court her. Because this is what it sounds like to me. Do all your buddies want her? Those two guys? I don't mean to put it so crassly, I'm sorry. But are they interested in her too? Are you guys just playing the game of who can get her first? I've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that too. It's a pissing contest. And I've seen it turn friends against each other. It's not worth it. And even if it doesn't go that way with you and your friends, is it good for your mindset? No, it isn't. And this question is proof of that. Which is not to say you're wrong for asking for help. I commend you for asking for help. I don't want to say disengage yourself from the girl and the your two friends, because that would be silly to throw that away. But I feel like when you're all hanging out and you're getting caught up with who's one-upping who, you're just wounding yourself. Is there a way is there a way you can kind of put up your emotional armor during those times? And you might ask me, well, how do I build that up? And the only way to build it up is to work on yourself. When you make strides and improvements in yourself, you will have the confidence and these things won't affect you. And even if this girl is not one for you, you're gonna get one because you're a good person. You're an effective person. I feel I feel as if I'm missing one more thing, but I've already I've already given you like 19 minutes, and if you've sat through this, I'm glad. But yeah, you said if I need more details, then please ask. Well, how about this? You tell me what I'm missing. You fill in the gaps, or you bridge off what I've said to you, and maybe maybe we can have a discourse kind of conversation about where's a good place for you to move into, like as far as pursuits go, as far as self-development, character development goes. I would even go as far as, like, you have interests that you want to pursue. Is there a skill or a hobby you want to be good at? Those things do wonders for you. If you know, like, hey, I can do this thing. Like, you probably see the piano in the background. I play a few different instruments. Being able to put in the work be able to say, wow, I did this, I can do this. A lot of people can't do this. It's good for you. It makes you feel like you've lived a life worth living. Think about those things. You've got a lot of time ahead of you. And if you start now, you can be crushing. You're going to be so far ahead of all these people that don't even realize that their life has begun. They end up waking up much later than life. Let me know. Be good to yourself.